Hello from Estonia. I have a pretty difficult presentation today since the organizer basically asked me to come here and give a talk on why Estonians do better marketing than Lithuanians. And I have to do this in this big hall with all of you present at your biggest IT event, and part of me just thinks consciously, where is the exit? Can I run away? But at the same time, I think this topic is quite relevant because I've been around in Lithuania many, many times. And every time someone says that in Estonia you do things kind of faster or better, or you do a better PR at least. Basically, you do same things, but then you add PR to it. And I've heard this question or this kind of comment so many times that I think it really is a good time to address it and see if there really is something that Estonia does differently than Lithuania. And I did some very basic research because there isn't really good custom-made scientific research comparing Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, I don't know, our startup marketing or communication efforts. And of course, when I use a word like E-stonia, then we see that, yes, Estonia registers, but E-Lithuania and E-Latvia, they don't register at all if we go to Google Trends. And this, of course, means that we have invented a word. It doesn't mean that you are better or we are better at communicating our IT, but it says one simple thing. Estonians have a word for it, and this word somehow trends over the internet. The same thing actually with the word mafia, because if you type into Google Estonian mafia, what you get are actually quite non-intuitive headlines, like Estonia mafia looking for the next generation of entrepreneurs, or Estonian mafia, a small innovation powerhouse that influences the world. And it means that we somehow have invented some kind of notion here connecting to Estonian mafia, because this is the initial Estonian mafia. They don't look really like mafia. These are founders of Skype. And I think they don't do anything criminal, really. Whereas you go to normal mafia, and then you Google, I don't know, Baltic mafia or Lithuanian mafia or Latvian mafia, you will get pictures like these. So maybe Estonians are better at some point in creating this kind of catchphrases and buzzwords that go well with our communication. Also, there is some evidence that kind of resonates. I mean, if we compare our countries together, if we compare it from like some larger level, from European level, I think differences are not that big. But really, we get occasionally feedback like this, like Barack Obama in 2014 said that, well, I should have called Estonians when we were setting up our healthcare website. And I think you have heard about problems with healthcare website, how it was like extremely expensive to build and how it actually didn't work well. And so that was kind of like ultimate compliment to Estonians. Also, I just checked today, we do have positive coverage. For example, these are like very fresh articles. One is claiming that Estonia is like a tiny country which is most technologically advanced in the world. And another appears in Vice that actually talks about Estonia's e-residency program and says that this might be the future of immigration. So really, we could say that there is some communication, and we are pretty much in some kind of a picture every day. But have we actually done anything to look like this? Maybe we maybe we were just lucky. And so I posed this question to myself preparing this presentation, and I started from a country marketing model. Basically, whatever marketers tell you, in the end, a country has to be marketed according to similar principles. You have to have extremely simple message. You have to repeat it, and you have to repeat it over the course of time, and this time is like 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 60 years. When we look at the Nordic country, someone said that the model is like this: there is always a better way to do things, and then show a lot of snow, because it's beautiful, and then repeat this for 60 years. And this is basically what Nordic countries have done. If you look at their communication, of course there are a lot of values connected, and there are a lot of stories and a lot of technology connected, but the basic promise is always this: there is a Nordic country which is like a snowy, really beautiful place, and they are always doing something which is more human, which is more, I don't know, considerate, which is always a little bit better. And this has taken, for Nordic countries, it has taken like 60 years when I actually consciously started doing this. Finland started a little bit later, but still after the war, there were conscious efforts to create communication that is simple, repeating, and is carrying the similar messages over time. And when we take Estonia as compared to Latvia and Lithuania, then I think there is a difference. In the beginning of 2000s, we actually wasted or spent a big amount of money on our new brand and as a country, and it was not IT related, but IT was one of the pillars of that brand that was created. We had kind of a mini parliament of about 200, 300 people who were actually discussing this kind of a brand model. And no one was really particularly happy with that brand model. But what happened was that it stayed. We had this brand model for 10 years before it was ever touched again, and we kind of used it. And I think this is a lesson for Lithuania, because I happen to know that you have these brand models like in every 2 years, or very often you have like some kind of ideas that we should be this. I think there was this concept at one point that Lithuania too should be a Nordic country, but with a passion or something. Then there was this idea that Lithuania is a brave country, and then when you teach this, and then you had a lot of these things. And the thing is, it doesn't even matter if it is good or bad. It matters that you actually repeat it, whatever it is. And of course, it's important that it says right things, but if you don't give it a chance, it will not function anyway. And so basically, Estonia actually today is saying that there is a better way with IT, information technology, and we show a lot of forests, and I don't know why we do it, but we just do it. It's inside our DNA. And basically, we've been actually saying this for like 20 years. And I think this is the reason, this kind of continuous effort that actually at some point might punch through to international level. And it is also important when I start comparing Estonia and Lithuania, and I think what happened in 90s was that almost accidentally we got some prime ministers and some president who favored IT. So we had the president, Lennart Meri, who actually had this very new, by that time, this kind of Nokia phone where you could actually program tunes yourself. And so he let his office stay up all night to program Estonian anthem on a phone, so he could sit on a front row at some conference and someone was asked to call him, and then he let this ring for a while. And he was also the guy who said that Estonia should find its own Nokia, and we had like 5 years, everyone was asking, what is Estonia's Nokia? Then we had prime ministers, ambassadors, foreign ministers, who were all pretty much IT-minded. And what happened was that we got noticed because of IT. And suddenly we realized that information technology helps us to show something from our country which is not post-Soviet, but what is future-related. And Estonia realized that it can get away from a post-Soviet space by starting everything, by starting communication about IT, by doing everything it can to do different types of IT reforms. And so we started getting all these kind of applications that were approved by the government without much questioning. We got this paperless government pretty fast. Immediately we got Newsweek covering it on the 90s. And so this kind of self-fulfilled this prophecy. And then it accelerated. And then today, if I look at the Estonians, they can say whatever they want, but deep down, when they go to abroad, the first thing is that, hi, I am this, I don't know, Jan or Peter. And second thing, they're asked about Estonia, they say, this is a place where Skype was invented. Or this is a place where you can start a company in like 15 minutes. Or this is a place where you can pay taxes in 3 minutes. And we just do it. And so it means that it has become part of our cultural identity. And what it has given to us is that we can talk about the future, because this is kind of like a proxy of, that helps us talk about the future. And now I take our Baltic neighbors, and I see that this is different. I come to Lithuania, the second sentence is, you know this place is 1,000 years old. You know there is a duke who lived there. You know there was this and that and that. And so I think this is also extremely important, but it is different. There is a difference, and we don't have to do the same things. But when you ask where does this kind of communication come from, where does this PR come from, it comes pretty much from this idea that in Estonia people actually believe that this IT is part of our cultural and national identity. This defines us. And I'm not saying it's only good, I'm just saying it is like it is. And also it helps us to take risks. We are doing experiments more easily than other countries, and we are open to information technology. And so here's a picture of our president's son, our president's wife, and president's daughter. It's like 10 years old, or maybe a little less. And it is even a little bit like a funny picture, but it shows how sincere Estonians were in the zeros, in the 2000s, that how we were like open to information technology. And I think we might even be too open, and there are bad sides to that. But it is a fact that we embrace it. One of the examples, e-voting, it is functional since 2005. I think now maybe 40% of people are actually e-voting, which means that you go to internet and you vote. And to my knowledge, it doesn't work like this anywhere on national elections. And I'm not even sure if it has to work in many other places, because, for example, I was recently in Turkey, and I was thinking that should Turkey embrace e-voting? And I realized that it's not possible. It would not be, the results would not be plausible to people. There will be a lot of problems, and also it would be like a huge hacking target. But in Estonia we do it already for more than 10 years, and it has become, again, something that we do so naturally that no one even questions it. It doesn't go without problems. For example, I can assure you that your phone is broken all the time, because all the applications you have there, you have to update them constantly. Something is wrong with them. And just imagine that your government is doing applications. These applications break too, and then you have your national identity built upon these applications. We're extremely proud on our e-government, and suddenly it doesn't work. What happens? people get, from one hand, they get really angry, and when they calm down, they still think that, okay, it's this kind of great e-society, but it is constantly a little bit broken. And that takes us to a problem, because governments are very much used to opening buildings and bridges and new objects with, like, there is a politician, he or she comes, they cut the tape, and it's really, really nice event. But with software, how can you do this? I mean, it has happened in Estonia so many times that politicians will come and open a new kind of database for elderly people or something, I don't know what, digital, some kind of service. They open it, people will use it, and in a week's time everyone is complaining that it doesn't work because it's, well, there are like problems with overload or whatever, and the politicians sometimes have to step down. And that has led us to understand that you cannot actually launch applications in the same way as you launch bridges. And when you look at companies, you see that companies actually launch software always as beta products. Even the most, like the richest companies in the world, they do it through beta testing. And they also say that the software is always a little bit broken by saying that we are just updating it all the time. And so I guess Estonia has had to learn this, and we are getting a little bit better with this. But as I said, if it is your national identity, part of it, you're very proud of it, then it is extremely difficult to admit that it actually can be sometimes broken. And this can lead us to kind of thinking which I call E-stonia. You would say that actually our technology is the greatest, it works so well, everyone should like it, but when people come and listen to this story, they don't believe it, of course. And E-stonia is, like, there are so many people in Estonia who actually just have this faith in information technology. This is like a kind of like even a bad side of our identity issues, that you will be semi-religious about it. You say that, no, it is always the best thing, it always works. So at some point I was thinking of it, and I thought that Estonia's religion, since we're not very religious people in Estonia according to statistics, and I realized that actually the biggest religion in Estonia is information technology, and its church is Skype. And to some ironic point, I mean, it actually works like this. And I do think that this is not a good thing, because this is not scalable. If you want Estonia's technology to scale over the world, we actually need to get rid of this E-stonia type of thinking and start explaining to people what is happening and why we do these things. And this actually means that you have to take in critics, skeptics, people who are not on the same page as you. And so we have come up with this idea that we should have actually conferences of skeptics, e-governance skeptics in Estonia, in order to escape the E-stonia problem, and in order to be really, how to say, open with the world. And to that end, I like this conference, that you have also very different people from very different walks of life. Maybe if I'm talking about PR, by this time you would want to know, do we actually use PR agencies as, like, to use them internationally? And to my knowledge, at least in information technology, Estonia has used PR agency just once, and we're actually using them now, and we are using them in the United States in order to get 12 to 15 articles to introduce Estonia to journalists, to have this kind of road shows where, and I think that at some point, if you do it openly through public tenders, and if you have clear goals that are not secret. I think this is the right thing to do for a government, sometimes if it wants to have exposure to its ideas. So yes, at the moment we do use a PR agency. Another thing that you cannot take away from Estonia is the fact that Skype really was invented in Estonia, and these people are in their best years. And these people, because of the Skype connection, because of the money that they got, they belong to the heart of, I don't know, networks that matter in that relation. They know Silicon Valley insiders personally, and as you might, when Chair Pope was talking about issuing Beats Audio headphones to celebrities and how it worked, I think this network thing, it is a huge gain for a small country. It just means that if you know someone already who is just one step away from you, you will get a pitch, you will get a contact, you will get an interview. And since Estonia is a small country, so many people now get interviews in Silicon Valley, get pitches in Silicon Valley or any other place that matters. And I think that this network, this gives you such a power that once you have used it, you will understand it, but otherwise you will probably even not. And you also, in Lithuania, have networks abroad, so you basically know how it works, but sometimes it looks like people underestimate this. I think that there is like equal chances to everyone, but it's unfortunate true because every country starts so many startups. You go whatever hubs in whatever European country, you see like hundreds of different ideas. Everyone is creating applications and whatever things, and there is just no chance that all these people can get this kind of, I don't know, even invites to pitches or whatever. And also I think that due to our public figures who have been very favorable to IT, we have actually had a good diplomacy contacts as well. And I think somehow Estonia's soft power also has helped, and I will come back to that in a minute. And out of all this, a strange thing has evolved, and this is called e-residency. It is basically a very simple idea, since we have so many services in place in Estonia, about 600 of different public services or functions that you can use. Not all of them work all the time, of course. And we have this ID card that is a backbone of this all. We realized that we can actually open up this ID card infrastructure to foreigners. So just imagine we have this kind of, you can create a company in 15 minutes, and then now all people from the world can use this service and also create company in 15 minutes. As an idea, this is like a huge idea, because in India, for example, you have to wait for 2 months before you get to know if your company name is okay. So there is like a large market for this kind of things. And so like people in Estonia started to think, especially Taavi Kotka, who is like the brain behind it, and they realized that there are other potential services that Estonia can actually scale across the world. And so we started the e-residency project, and we fortunately quite on a last minute we realized that we have to name it beta product again, because otherwise it would already be quite under heavy criticism, because it's just a platform, just like an empty app store that is lacking a lot of apps. But these apps might actually come, and this is the only government-backed identity that you can use online, that you can use if you are not member of that country. And there is this kind of huge ambitious goal to get 10 million e-residents by like 2025, which is, it seems like nearly impossible, but if you think of big goals, then it does well. And also, Estonia is 1.3 million people. If we get to 10 million e-residents, we would actually have something very interesting, which is not really a soft power, but which is something more. There are people who are related to us, who maybe even care about a little bit, and who have different reasons to become e-residents. And I was lucky enough to create an ideology for this e-residency product or platform. And for that, I traveled around the world and I talked to influential people like Tim Berners-Lee, for example, or Ben Horowitz, or some Russian fantasy writer, Maria Galina, or Garry Kasparov, or people like this. And I wanted to know, would this e-residency idea actually work? And one of the questions that I gave to them was that, okay, let's think that there is just like this e-residency concept, that would you take Russia's e-residency? Most people said no, because that was like, these people didn't want to have Russia's e-residency. Or any other, I don't know, Saudi e-residency, or Finnish e-residency, and answer was always different. And so I realized it's not about technology, because everyone can create this kind of authentication systems in the future, and there will be countries that will be creating these things. But you would trust the Finnish one because you believe that they are not knifing your back, they are not cheating you because of the Finnish values, or at least you don't think that it would happen so easily. And so I realized that this is a real challenge and opportunity for Estonia too. We've been building all these kind of applications, but now we have to see how values relate to this. Because there will be technology for every country can eventually have e-residency and have this kind of people coming and using their services from afar. But I guess with every country it will be slightly different. And maybe for Estonia's 10 million, we can carve out this kind of a value system that these 10 million people really like. And they will be mentally part of our information sphere. And how cool is that? And so in Estonia, we have this kind of tiny ideas, what our values are, which are built into technology. For example, the privacy, that, which is a very European idea, that you can always check who has checked you, your data. And so you can build these things into design, into architecture. And the take here is that you actually have to build things into the design, into the application, like hard code them into, and then you can start doing PR. This is like really important notion. So there is this big vision that maybe since we've been so bold and since this idea of information technology has become part of our national understanding of ourselves, maybe we can present Estonia as an avant-garde of humanity in some questions. For example, this same e-voting or e-residency, countries without territories, relationships with like country as service. Maybe we can be these guys who say that this is like our moonshot or whatever. Maybe this is our man on the moon. And on that moment, it is extremely important again to be open, because when US put a man on the moon first time, of course everyone knew that so many things can go wrong. And wrong they did go in many times. Like if you have seen movie, was it Apollo 13 or whatever it was, its second or third mission, then the whole movie is about how it goes wrong. And the challenge for any government is how to speak about things that are going wrong in a way that these are interesting and actually draw people towards you. And I believe that Estonia can do it. But first, we have this kind of ambitious goal, and second, we actually are open to skeptics, to criticism, to people who don't believe us even, and we're open towards ourselves, that the government doesn't hide if things go wrong. And well, this is very Nordic, and this is kind of an ideal. And also, I think since I was, again, for this e-residency paper, I was researching a lot of what's happening in like countries and how countries are perceived, when it is quite clear that people don't identify themselves with big countries so much. If you even look at Lithuania, I hear this now many times, that I'm from Vilnius means more than it meant before. You might actually say that you're not starting that I'm from Lithuania, but you're saying I'm from Vilnius. But with big countries, it is much more like this. I'm from New York, I'm from San Francisco, I'm from Berlin, I'm from Barcelona. It all means something. And when you say, I'm from Spain, which part? Is it like Catalonia, or where are you from? It doesn't even mean anything that you're from Spain. And so it means that this kind of territories will be actually, physically, they will be fragmenting, probably. And maybe small territories have this kind of interesting appeal here, because we are meaningful, we are kind of reachable, tangible, and I think Lithuania and Estonia are on that same level, that we are all kind of small on a world scale. But this all means that you have to find your voice, and I hope that Estonia finds this voice, that we actually, being at the avant-garde, we actually are able to scale our technologies by sharing our experiences and coming to all the people who are, by any means, want to be also in avant-garde in these technologies that we are developing. And I think that this would be tremendously good PR as well, and we would continue to have this kind of, maybe even growingly so, all these kind of nice reports that we are enjoying at the moment. Well, that was it. Thank you.